I support and am proud of you, Taylor. All adult human females should be outraged that trans women have more rights than women. Trans women's rights, biological males, come before women. It's egregious. And this is why, the interesting thing about the discussion is that it's important to find a solution to prevent backlash from what people feel to be an injustice and what biologically is simply unfair. If people perceive and view real-time unfairness that is biologically demonstrable, it actually causes more social upheaval than finding the proper solution that allows everyone to live in peace and in mutual respect of everyone's respective rights. Someone decides they want to transition from a biological male to a female in adulthood after puberty. That's their decision. That is their choice. To go from there to say that other people now have to suffer injustices, rights that they fought for because of one's decision of what they want to do to their own body, that becomes a question where someone is saying, you now have to live with the consequences of my choices for myself. And that's where people have issues. And if you actually want to avoid social discord, you'd resolve that issue instead of demonizing the people who take issue with it. Okay. I'm glad we had that discussion. And we've got some more time for the rest of the day. Share screen. There were some more. Oh, let's go read the article, by the way. There were a number of articles. StreamYard. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Let's see what was on the Twitter feed. That is the diary of the newsworthy events. Okay, that was the depth of field. This was Elon Musk Twitter. We're going to have to go see what the tally to that debate is. Okay, yeah, hold the line, the new shirt. So we've read the article, and that was the highlight. Okay, come on. Here it is. This is the article. BBC. We see this. Okay, here we go. FINA. What is the FINA going to stand for? It's a swimming association. Bars transgender swimmers from women's elite events if they went through male puberty. Let's go see if we're still green lighted here. I think we should be. I think it's been a very, very meaningful and respectful discussion, and we're still green. Who knows? Maybe YouTube at the end of the day is going to do the right thing. FINA, swimming's world governing body, has voted to stop transgender athletes from competing in women's elite races if they have gone through any part of the process of male puberty. So flags going off. What does elite races mean? And what does any part of male puberty mean? How do you even define the day that happens? FINA will also aim to establish an open category at competitions for swimmers whose gender identity is different than their birth sex. You're going to have problems with this. FINA will also aim to establish an open category at competitions for swimmers whose gender identity is different than their birth sex. Okay. This seems like a very common sense middle ground. If you want to compete in what you call it a trans league or a trans division, everyone does it willingly, knowingly, and with whatever biological inconveniences that will raise. If you're a biological female transitioning to male, or biological male transitioning to female, or a biological female who might want to willingly race in this division. The issue is going to be they're going to have to set up some criteria so that it's not willy-nilly, someone on a day of saying, yeah, sure, I haven't even done anything yet, but my gender identity is different than my birth sex today, and now I want to go and compete in this category with whatever financial reward that it might yield should I win. But that is the obvious solution. And if there seem to be enough people that this would have its own division in a great many sports. It might not be the deepest of fields. UFC did not start off with the deepest talent field in the welterweight divisions until UFC was built up as a product on its own. So build up the industry and you'll build the depth that you need for competitive and interestingly competitive categories. The new policy, which was passed with 71% of the vote from the 152 FINA members, was described as, quote, only a first step towards full inclusion for transgender athletes. I'd like to know what the rationale was for the other 29% voting against, but maybe I'll try to find the document. The 34-page policy document says that male to female transgender athletes could compete in the women's category, but only, quote, provided that they have not experienced any part of male puberty beyond Tanner stage 2. which marks the start of physical development, or before age 12, whichever is later. That's interesting. I'll just clean my glasses off. And like I said in response to the tweet, the risk is that this might push kids to now say, "Mom and Dad, I need to do it now," or parents are going to say, "We need to do it now because if I want my kid to ever have a normal life in competitive sports, this is when we have to do it by. This is the cutoff date." And then lo and behold, you might get into one of the other issues that I had discussed, which was, potentially, we'll see if it ever happens, children, when they reach the age of adulthood, suing their parents, caregivers, or doctors for the consequences of these decisions that parents are making for and on behalf of their kids. The decision was made during an extraordinary General Congress at the ongoing World Championships in Budapest. It means that transgender American college swimmer, Leah Thompson, who has expressed a desire to compete for a place at the Olympics, would be blocked from participating in the female category at the Games. However, the policy does not apply to national federations or the U.S. College Championships, the NCAAs, at which Thomas recently won the 500-yard freestyle. Instead, each national federation, including the British Swimming, will need to decide if it is to implement the FINA policy. All right, well, that's the story. The idea that you would have a separate category, period. That's it. It seems like the no-brainer solution. How deep the depth of field is going, the depth of talent is going to be, or the competition. It's a question of developing it over time. UFC initially had, in addition to no rules, it didn't have that deep of a talent stack, such that you ended up having to have that 200-pound guy fighting the 600-pound guy. In as much as that looked unfair, the anomaly in that one was the 200-pound guy won.